Hi, I'm Victoria Taylor from UntwistedMedia.com, and you're listening to the Social Media Talks podcast with Alan Hennessy from compassmedia.ie.
Welcome to Social Media Talks podcasts, brought to you by compassmedia.ie.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. This is the Social Media Talks podcast, brought to you by compassmedia.ie. I'm your host, Alan Hennessy, and this is the podcast to help business owners who want to learn more about social media marketing. And don't forget, if you do want to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can log on to our website at www.compassmedia.ie/Social Media Talks podcasts. And we are looking forward to today's show. I'm going to be joined by Victoria Taylor, who is the founder and chief digital strategist of Untwisted Media, with over 10 years experience in online marketing, sales and training. And she's also a keynote speaker as well, and has spoke around the world at many different digital marketing events. And her keynote talks have included customer experience, social media strategy, content marketing and storytelling for businesses. So without further ado, I think we will transition straight over to the interview. Hi Victoria, how are you today? Great to have you on the show.
I'm very well, thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me.
We all know, we've given people a brief introduction of who you are in the start of the show, but maybe you'd like to give us a little background on yourself.
Sure, thank you. So I'm owner of agency Untwisted Media, where we work with clients in the digital space to understand digital media. But we're all about the customer experience at Untwisted Media as well. So we do kind of go a little bit deeper, and we work with clients from an internal point of view, trying to create amazing experiences through every facet of their business, and then we translate that into digital as well. So we work with social media, we work with the web, we work with video marketing, so we work with lots of different facets of digital media. And I also speak as well. I speak at events and stuff around the world.
That's brilliant. So today we're going to talk about is customer experience. Victoria is probably one of the leading champions of customer experience when it comes to digital marketing and online and offline. I read somewhere the other day the customer experience is defined by the quality of the consumer's encounter with your company and your products and your services. And this, as a strong customer experience, it has been shown significant results as well when it comes to this. So maybe we might want to expand a bit on that and tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of definitions, Alan, about what customer experience is. And I think a lot of people try to define it quite clinically. And this is something that I talk about and say, we can't actually ever really define customer experience because every single person is different. So you'll often hear phrases like mapping the customer journey. Let's look at the journey a customer's going on. But everybody's going on a different journey with you as a business owner. And I try and sort of say to people to even strip it back further than customer experience and make it people experience, because not everybody is a customer and not everyone will become a customer. But if we can create amazing experiences with people as people, then they may become a customer. Right. So I think it's sort of stripping it even further back than going, what can this person do for my business? What can this person do for my bottom line? And rather just think about, how can I be a good person? How can I treat people well? How can I make sure that people have the best possible experience with me through every single interaction that they have with me, and then go from there? It's quite simplistic, really.
And it is about creating empathy with that customer and finding what it is that you can do for them, as opposed to what they're going to buy off you, or what they're going to even just come into your shop, or whether it is or come online and speak to you. It's about what it is that you can give to them, and that makes that customer experience. Because at the end of the day, I suppose the key to it is when they walk away, they can say, yes, I had a good experience with that person. And I think it's imperative that is always put across in anything that you do.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people kind of put people into boxes. If we're lucky enough that someone does become a customer, and they think, okay, someone's bought a service off me or a product off me, and that's where that relationship ends. But that's absolutely the wrong way to look at things. People come into our lives and they might remain a client for a while, they might become a friend. Every part of that journey continues. And I think a lot of people sort of shut off and think, okay, someone's bought this off me, that's it, they're gone now, rather than sort of nurturing that relationship. What we're really talking about here is continuous relationships, and people that, I'm working with people still today that I was working with when I started my business 5 years ago. What they're doing with me is completely different now, but that relationship has continued, and the experience that they have had with me has been there. And, I've gone to family birthdays. Unfortunately, I've gone to funerals. I know birthdays, anniversaries, I know so much about my clients, and that really matters. Not from a point of view of what can someone pay me, how can this equate to money, but actually it makes your life a lot nicer as a business owner as well, because you actually have a great relationship with people, and that's important, you know?
And it is, and it's very true. Like yourself, we would deal with a lot of companies, we deal with a lot of people, but it's when you get to know that person that you start to know exactly it is, you know, what is it that they're looking for, or what drives them. So really, when you see what drives them, it becomes like a friendship, and you know, instead of you being the person that they're going to come to organize whatever it may be, whether it be social media, whether it be their marketing or whatever it is, that you're actually becoming a friend, you're becoming, you know, and it's loyalty as well. It is a huge part of it, and integrity. We speak about it every day. Once you have that, like for instance, like we would have met at the social media summit, but like that, it's carried on, and I still, like, even though I may not speak to you every day, I still know what it is that you're up to. So when we do talk, we're not losing out, and I'm not sort of trying to catch up, or you're not trying to catch up. And that is, you know, you're building friendships, even though we are on, you know, I'm in Ireland, you're in England, it's still there, I suppose. And I think that is part of, you know, I suppose it's part of life as much as anything else, that, you know, you build them relationships, and there's no reason why your customer experience can't be a lot more than just the customer and the supplier type of thing.
100%. You know, I have to say, you know, and I talk to my customers about this all the time. I'm actually bringing customers together in collaborations right now. I'm taking other customers to events that other customers are holding, and they're becoming friends, which is amazing. You know, I go to the gym with my customers. I go for dinner with my customers, and there's just a lovely, lovely relationship there. Because, and you know what? I just think, would you rather go through life and be very stilted? I came away from corporate to remove that kind of, you know, that barrier that's almost put up where it's, we're the company, you're the customer. It just doesn't work in today's society. No. People desire connection. People want to feel important, and people want to feel like you give a damn about them. And it's important to nurture those relationships. And I don't know, maybe I'm the extreme, but to me, I want to live my life where I have great customers that are also friends as well. And then they become friends with each other, and they do business together, and then they do business together, and then they do business together. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's all about connections, and it's building then connections. And then, of course, what ends up then is you start getting a network of people, and you're getting a network of different businesses that can help each other. And when we talk about networking, and we talk about connecting with people, and there's this huge big, people talk about and say, oh, well, if you go on, you have to build connections online and whatever. I agree with that, but it's about, you know, having something that's tangible and that's really physical, that you can actually sit down and have a cup of coffee with this person. You don't just say, well, I don't know about anything about your business type of thing. What you're doing is you're also building up that relationship as much as anything else. And I think as well, for small and medium-sized businesses, that is key to getting on as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, like, I mean, I've been invited to staff nights out with staff members. You know, I'll go in on a consultative basis with a business, and they'll invite me to staff nights out. And, you know, I would say that probably 90% of my work, 90 to 90% of the work I do comes through recommendation, which is fantastic, you know. And I'm a big advocate for digital. I love digital. I love what it's facilitated. If it wasn't for digital, we wouldn't have met. I wouldn't have met some of my dearest friends around the world. However, I think a lot of people struggle to balance the fact that the real world does still exist, and connection is so important, and being in that real world and not just at a screen is so important, because you can't get the same feeling through just talking to somebody online as you can whether you go and have a coffee or a gin and tonic, as we do sometimes, or a workout in the gym. You know, you can't get that same connection digitally. So.
And it's so true. Like, you know, as I always say, anyone I'm ever talking to, I always say, you know, there is a person at the end of that computer. There has to be, in some shape or form, somewhere along the line. You know, I read an article that only the other day about people saying, you know, oh, your demographics and you're this and you're that and whatever. But really, at the end of the day, you know, there's people at the end of computers that want to talk, or they want to interact. They use it as a form, you know. And we say social media. I say, what is social media? Social media is, it's social and it's media. So it's just it's two tools to get to each other.
That's it. And, you know, like, social media didn't exist to promote business. Social media existed very initially for people to connect and form human connection. And I think it, you know, as a lot of platforms have become monetized, as more tools have become available to us, as we're able to run ads, I think many, you see, like, sort of almost forget the purpose of what it was in the first place. And if you can actually bring it back to what it was, which was human connection and being able to connect with people and share an experience, actually the people that are being most successful in business right now are those that are being being human and sharing personal experience rather than just blasting a load of ads in your face.
And it is. And, you know, taking it on the other side of it, where you would actually be talking about business, is that I read an article a couple of weeks back saying about 83% of businesses don't actually look at their customer engagement. They just look at, you know, straight, whereas really that 83%, you want to be looking at them. You want to be finding out whether it is if they're coming to your website and they're saying, okay, right, where are they falling off? And when I say falling off is are they going so far into your website and then suddenly they just go, no, they're gone. Well, there has to be a reason for that. So what is that reason? And if you can fix that, you enhance that customer experience of your website.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you can apply that to social as well, Alan, because I think, you know, like a lot of people will, and I see it I keep saying a lot of people because I don't want to specifically say, you know, certain people.
Put them into boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of people you do see, they will put a piece of content out there. Someone will start engaging with that content. Now, I'm not saying you can reply instantly straight away, but then they don't respond. And actually, you know, me and my friend Adam Purcell, Caring Counts over in Canada, were talking about this the other day and saying a lot of the content is in the conversation. And that's probably the most important part of it, because you put a piece of content there and you leave it to go stagnant. You don't reply to the people that actually care enough to write to you. You don't care enough to engage with them. What's the point? You know, what's the point in producing a piece of content in the first place? It's just kind of an ego-driven exercise without replying to people and engaging with people and building communities. Engagement's everything.
Yeah, and it is. And, you know, adding that value to someone's life, or that, you know, that's a huge part of it. By adding that value, and then people come on and say, oh, that's a very good article, or thanks for sharing that. You know, if someone doesn't answer it, and I always say when I any clients or any people that we talk to, even when we're doing the training, I always say to them, please do not put a thumbs up on your comments. Just don't put a thumbs up, because when you put a thumbs up, all basically you're doing is just, you're not even talking to people. You just literally are putting, you know, this thumbs up. And what's that mean? You know, if someone was to stand in front of you tomorrow and I had a conversation with you, and every time you ask me a question or you answer the question, I put my thumbs up, you're going to walk away. You literally are going to walk away. So
yeah, and I think there's a time and place for everything as well. So what you've just said is really, really interesting, and I'm inclined to agree with you. You know, if someone just gives you a thumbs up, it's kind of like they're trying to end the conversation. However, if you know the communication that you're having with a person and you talk with emojis, and that's something that you do, you engage in that kind of side of things, and it's a part of a conversation, that's completely different.
Oh yeah.
But like completely different, because it can enhance conversation. A smiley face can enhance conversation. A heart can enhance conversation. There can be many things that enhance conversation, but a lot of people will just use a thumb, and it's like, okay, to me all that says is I want to stop this conversation. So it's knowing the right time and place to use it for effective communication.
Totally. And really, you know, that really is. And I love that whole idea of when you put content out, that you engage. Like, the content is like, I suppose it's like your opening line. It's like the start of your conversation. And I read on one of your blogs is where you say, you know, storytelling is about storytelling. And when you do that, that once upon a time line has been down through the ages, has always been used. So it's how, when you start telling a story and storytelling, and then that you create these moments in time where people really like, and they start understanding and say, oh yeah, that's great, you know, and they feel good. And once someone feels good, you're halfway there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, that is really interesting. You know, we are all storytellers, and we're all full of thousands and thousands of stories from the moment we were born until now. And actually, it's a very natural way that we've always been brought up to communicate. We've understood that concept of once upon a time since we were tiny little toddlers. And it's almost like, because I almost feel that because social has become such a competitive place, and when I say competitive, I actually don't believe there's any competition in business. That's my thing. I believe that collaboration is everything, and there's a place for everybody. But I think because social media has, maybe like competition is the wrong word, crowded, we'll say, because social media has become so crowded, what you almost see is sort of like a firefight with people lose that everything that's natural to them to just try and sell, because they feel like they need to stand out by selling. And actually, you see the very natural storytellers are the people that are doing exceptionally well, because people can relate, people have emotion, people can connect, you know?
Totally. Yeah, and it's like, I've said it in previous podcasts, but I also use it as well. If I was to walk into a pub tomorrow and you're sitting at the bar, and I walk straight up and I start firing questions at you, what are you going to do? You're going to you might answer the first one, but then you're up, you're gone, you're out of there. You don't you don't need that. Whereas, and that's what a lot of people do. I don't think that they do it intentionally. I think it's what they think, because that's the way originally marketing used to be, that you would put out, because if you were putting an ad in a paper newspaper, you would literally be putting out what it is because the ad is so expensive. You're trying to get your message straight across. Whereas social media is a totally different animal in respect of it has to be a conversation. It has to be interaction. So as I said, going back to the story of if I walk into a pub and I start shouting and screaming and I start asking you questions, you're going to get up, you're going to walk away. Yeah. But if I go walk in and I say, hello, Victoria, how are you today? How is your day gone? Now we're on a totally different level. Now you're more open. You're more inclined to, talk back to me and then start a conversation. And that is a building of a relationship.
100%. I'd be even more inclined to talk to you if you were to say, would you like a gin and tonic, Victoria? Yeah. So, 100%. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're not, it's not that constant firing questions. It's that openness, that just normal human communication.
Yeah.
That's it.
As I heard a podcast many months ago, and someone was saying about social media. Social media is a party. Yeah. So basically, you're hosting the party. The people that come are your attending people that are coming to your party. Your content is the food. The entertainment is your videos, your live. And I thought it was a brilliant analogy of the way social media can be. That you're using all of these little elements, and when you equate it to real life, and I think most business people and the consumers, they understand it so much better when you're talking about it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you have your own party, and then, like using your example there, and then there's other people that have their own parties. And it's so important to go to the other parties as well, to make sure that you're interested in those parties and interested in other people's lives, because it can't just be one way at all. You have to go and take an interest and give a damn about other people, because that's important. And as business owners, that's important to remember as well. You can't just care about your own business. When you collaborate with other businesses, when you go and genuinely look at what your potential clients are doing and go and talk to them and go and see what interests them. Like, don't expect them to just come to you, actually go out and give a damn,
And that's it. And we were talking to a sales trainer last week, and they were saying, silence is the best part of a sales process, where you stay quiet, but you find out the information of the person who's coming to you. And in some ways, I would say, it also works, because when you put out content and you people start talking back to you, you start understanding what it is that they're looking for. So it's a real way of finding out as well. It's garnering information as well from people and finding out what their view is on it. Some of the best posts I've seen have been someone who asks a question online. What do you think of? And the amount of content, the amount of comments that come back through it, or retweets or tweets or whatever it may be, even a poll on like Twitter where you put up certain what do you think of X, Y and Z, answer yes or no. It gives you that information, and it also helps you then to understand your customers more, and then you can then develop that information and then create that customer experience for them, because that's what they want. You're finding out information. So it really is a two-way street.
Yeah, it really is. And I always say to people, ask more questions. I think what's interesting, and I agree with you, I think questions are a great way to understand people, but I think they've got to be used in the right context as well, because what we're seeing right now with LinkedIn, it's being used as almost like to generate engagement, not for any purpose. So you have to be purposeful in what you're doing, I believe, because it'll be a question and then tagging in a load of people, which can actually become very irritating if you're not doing it for the right reasons. So I think you're absolutely right. If you ask a question with purpose at the right time to the right people in the right context on the right platform, it can be hugely effective, and it can help to inform what you need to do to help people. But you're right place, right time, right question, and it works beautifully.
I have to admit, I know you've really started to engage on LinkedIn, but I've always that has always been my platform of choice. Like, as much as I like Facebook and Twitter, I think just LinkedIn is just, and I think it's really it's a platform that people don't really understand, and they don't see as how great and the value of what's on LinkedIn. And not just for, I suppose, a lot of people think, LinkedIn is just a CV online, and it's not. And when you start talking to people about what it is that you can find out, the information that's on it, the connections you can make on it, like there's some connections out there that I have used that I've got on LinkedIn that there's not a hope in hell I would have got them on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever. So everything has its place in social media. And someone, as a good friend of mine, Greg Fry, used to says Facebook with a tie, and I love that. I just thought it was brilliant. It really is this, and then you have the types of Instagram where there's a huge amount of content that you can upload and all. I just, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It is amazing. And I think what you've just said is, perfect. Like the platforms are so different. And when people say, oh, can I have a social media strategy? It's like, okay, which platform and what are we talking about? Because they're all so different. I think the thing that probably put me off LinkedIn for a long time was that I felt they weren't innovating. So I felt like all the other platforms were innovating with storytelling tools, video, live. So it was more fun to be more interactive on other platforms. But the fact that LinkedIn have now introduced video is just insane. It's just striking up incredible conversations. And already I can see a massive difference. The conversations are amazing over there.
And it is like, it used to be very, I suppose if you want to equate it to real life, it used to be very boardroom-like type of content on it. Whereas now it's starting to become more sociable, but it still has that business feel to it.
Yeah.
You're not going to post a picture of what you had for your dinner on LinkedIn. So, you know what I mean? Whereas you would maybe post a video of you at a conference or at a meeting. Using it in the right context, as you said earlier on, it's the right way to do it. Yeah. So really, I've really enjoyed this conversation. And what would be your big tips now for customer experience? Because we would have a lot of listeners out there that have a lot of businesses. So we're talking to the expert. So let's see what this expert has. I always say I love this part of the show because it means that I can say it's not putting people on the spot, but because of what you do, it's really important. And I think your tips will be invaluable to people who are listening to us today.
Okay, so first of all, I'd say just drop strategy for a moment. If you're beginning with this from like scratch, just drop strategy. Stop thinking about trying to sell a product or a service, and stop thinking about customer experience and think just more about people experience. How we can create moments with people throughout the day, wherever we go, and positive moments with people. And that could be a moment through an email, a phone call, a WhatsApp message, a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a tweet. There are so many ways we can create experiences. So think about all the ways that you're communicating and the way you can create the best experiences possible with people without any intention or any expectation of having anything back in return. That's the important part. So don't have expectation that this is going to turn into business. Just go about your day doing your thing with purpose, treating people well and helping where you can without expectation. Then think about sort of like the experiences that you're creating within your business. Don't think about publicity, promotion. Think about every single facet. And if you have to, walk yourself through a day in the life of your customer, whatever you do in a business, walk yourself through that, because you will learn so much more by walking through and almost stripping away your sort of, your preconceived ideas of how someone might feel. Experience your business. So if you work in a business where there are multiple people working, go through every touch point that a customer will go through in that business. Go and experience that and think, oh, hang on a minute. When we get to this point, is this confusing? Or how does someone feel at this point? And try and really put yourself in the shoes of how someone might feel. So strip it away, or get a friend to do it. Ask a friend to walk through that experience and get their feedback, so you're understanding where there might be flaws, where there might be problems. So you can really sort of look at that experience before you even promote anything digitally and think about what you're creating internally. And the third one I would say is buy the book, X the Experience When Business Meets Design by Brian Solis. It is an absolute incredible book. It's like a Bible to me. I recommend it to everybody wherever I go. I learned a lot about experience and moments from Brian Solis. He is just an incredible human being. He writes about it so amazingly, and his sort of definition of experience is probably the one that I relate to the most, and it's well worth reading. That would kind of be my basic sort of, that's where you start. I can only give tips. Obviously you need strategy around it. You need strategy. I can only give sort of the highlights.
Yeah, of course.
But you need strategy around this. But I'd say, and do more listening than you do talking. Go out and listen to what people are saying. More listening than talking.
That's brilliant. So how can people get in contact with you, Vicky, now? Because that's the key. So where can they get in contact with you? I know you're across all the social media platforms, but you might just give us an idea of how people can actually get in contact with you. Yeah,
so probably the best for sort of seeing sort of every area of my life and I would always prefer to refer people to me rather than my business, because my business is a byproduct of me and who I am. So you can find me everywhere at Victoria Tail UK on the socials. I'm there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I actually do sort of, I do befriend people. There's sort of mutual connections and stuff on Facebook. So I'm there, Vicky Taylor on Facebook, VIKKI. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you more. Yeah, that's it.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thanks, Victoria. I don't know. See, we're always on Victoria or Vicky, but we'll say Victoria. I think it's lovely. It's a beautiful name, my darling.
Thank you. Thank you.
No. So look, it was an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and thanks for coming on the podcast. It really is, delighted to have your company today. Such fantastic tips and some, really, really insightful conversation there as well today. So listen, Vicky, all the best in the future, and we should talk to you very soon anyway. So, but thanks for coming on the podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
So my thanks to Victoria Taylor for coming on the show today. Really, really fantastic chat there, and some very, very good, insightful tips for you if you're using social media and digital marketing, and also for your customer experiences as well. And if you want to get more information about Victoria, you can visit her website at untwistedmedia.com, and you can also find her on all the social networks, from Facebook to Twitter to LinkedIn to Instagram to Snapchat. She's everywhere. So once again, as I said, thanks to Victoria for coming on the show. I've been Alan Hennessy, and this has been the Social Media Talks podcast. And if you'd like more information about any of the previous podcasts that we've produced, you can visit our website at www.compassmedia.ie/social media talks podcasts. You can also find us on Mixcloud and Soundcloud as well, and also available on iTunes. So until next time we see you, have a very good week, and we'll talk to you very soon. And as I always say, be social.
Social Media Talks podcast is a production from compassmedia.ie.